The stars above the Zykari homeworld shimmered like silver dust on black velvet. Their capital city, Jirali Prime, looked like a garden built by God's tall towers, shaped like blooming flowers.
Owls.
Glowing rivers running through floating parks, and ships shaped like birds soaring through the sky. But none of this impressed Captain Elias Rourke, the human ambassador. He had seen 100 strange worlds. What worried him now was the giant golden throne. In front of him, and the 12 glowing eyes of the alien empress staring straight into his soul, Elias stood tall in his black Terran uniform, sharp and clean. His short brown hair was combed neatly, and a small silver badge on his chest showed Earth's united symbol, blue spiral. Empress Kailara Zykari, ruler of 1,000 systems, tilted her head slightly. She was beautiful in a way humans didn't understand, tall, with silver blue skin, long tendrils flowing from her scalp like hair, and eyes that sparkled with tiny galaxies. To stand in my court, human, is an honor very few receive, she said in perfect English, her voice calm but powerful. We expected a diplomat. Instead, Terra sends a soldier. Elias gave a small bow. My empress, I used to be a soldier. Now I serve peace. That line seemed to please her. She nodded and waved her hand. Music played strange instruments that hummed and sang without strings or wires. The grand hall was full of nobles, their heads turning to watch what happened. Next, then she stepped forward, Princess Varelli, first daughter of the throne. She was younger than the empress, but shared the same royal grace. Her eyes were sharp, her voice like wind through crystal. You are Elias Rourke, are you not? She asked. Double quotes, yes, princess. She smiled. Then kneel. Terran, let us seal our first bond. Elias hesitated. He had been briefed on Zykari. Customs, but no one mentioned kneeling. Still, he played along. He knelt on one knee, eyes up. Princess Varelli held out a small cup of silver liquid. Drink, she said, and speak your words of unity. Elias took the cup and sniffed. It smelled like honey and static. Not poisonous, he hoped. He raised it to his lips, drank, and said the phrase Earth diplomats were trained to use, May our hearts walk as one through the stars. The moment he said it, Varelli's eyes glowed. A pulse of light ran through the floor. The nobles gasped. Elias blinked. What just happened? He asked. The empress stood from her throne. You have spoken the sacred vow of binding in the tongue of truth. You have shared the elixir of union. By our law, you are now bonded to my daughter. The wedding shall follow at moonrise. Elias stared at her. Wait, what? Outside the royal hall, in the guest quarters, Elias paced the room while his AI assistant, Ridge, floated beside him in a small drone. I was just being polite, Elias said. No one told me a toast could count as a marriage proposal. Ridge beeped. Your diplomatic file did include a section on ceremonial drinks. You didn't read it. I skimmed it. It was 900 pages long. There was a soft knock. At the door. Before Elias could answer, it slid open. Princess Varelli walked in, calm and glowing. Her robe shimmered like stars. I hope I'm not disturbing, she said. Just a little, Elias muttered. Then he straightened. Not at all, Your Highness, she smiled. Please, call me Varelli. You are to be my husband after all. Elias scratched his head. About that, ... It was a mistake. I didn't mean to propose. Her smile faded. A mistake. So Earth sends a man to mock our customs. No, I respect your traditions. But on Earth, sharing a drink and saying, kind words isn't marriage, it's just being friendly. Varelli looked confused for a moment. Then she gave a small laugh. Humans are strange. Elias sighed. It's fair. But maybe we can talk to your mother. And before he could finish, a loud, angry voice echoed from the hallway. You cannot marry him alone. The door slammed open. Another princess stormed in, Princess Kailani, the younger sister. She was shorter than Varelli, with sharper features and fire in her eyes. Her hair tendrils glowed with electric blue. She wore a royal combat suit instead of a robe. You know the twin bond doctrine, Kailani shouted. If one royal sister marries, During Ascension Year, the other must also be wed, or the bond is broken. Varelli rolled her eyes. That law is ancient. No one follows it anymore. I follow it, Kailani growled. She turned to Elias. Human, you cannot marry my sister, unless you take me as your bride as well. Elias's brain froze. Excuse. Me, Kailani pointed at him, shared the vow. You drank the elixir. If you choose one of us, you choose both. If you reject me, you dishonor our house. Varelli folded her arms. Don't be ridiculous. Kailani stepped forward. I challenge him to the trial of wills. Varelli gasped. Kailani, that's forbidden. Kailani's eyes blazed. Let the stars decide if he is worthy. Elias looked at Ridge, who was silently recording everything. Ridge, what's the trial of wills? The AI replied. A sacred test of mental and emotional strength. If you lose, it will be seen as an insult. If you win, you must accept both sisters. In marriage, Elias stared at both alien princesses, one elegant and calm, the other wild and proud, and realized something. He was completely screwed. Later that night, in his quarters, Elias stared out at the twin moons of Girali Prime. His reflection shimmered. In the glass, he never planned to get involved with royalty. He was a soldier, not a prince. His job was to open peace talks, not wedding vows. But something in his gut told him. This was bigger than politics. The Zykari Empire was old, powerful, and mysterious. Yet they saw something in humanity that no other species did. And these, two sisters, so different yet so fierce, believed he mattered. He sighed and turned away from the window. Fine, he said to no one. If the trial of wills is what it takes, then let's show them what humans are made of. The royal arena of Girali Prime was silent. Its glowing floor, shaped like a sunburst, pulsed slowly with light. Thousands of nobles, warriors, and scholars watched from floating seats around the edge. The trial of wills had not been held in over a century, and now it was being revived. For a human, Captain Elias Rourke stood in the center of the arena. His Terran uniform was gone, replaced with a neutral white robe given by the Zykari priests. It was meant to show that he came without weapons or tricks. Across from him stood Princess Kailani. She wore a sleek battlesuit lined with blue energy veins. Her arms were crossed, her eyes glowing bright with psychic force. She looked like a thunderstorm about to strike. Above them, floating in a crystal throne, sat Empress Kalara, silent and watching. Beside her was Princess Varelli, her expression unreadable. A priest stepped forward and raised both arms. The trial of wills begins, he announced. Two minds will enter the link. One will yield, one will lead. So speaks the law.
The arena
Hummed louder. A psychic field surrounded Elias and Kailani. He felt a strange pressure in his head, like the air had turned to water. Clear your thoughts, Ridge said in his ear. The small AI drone hovered outside the field. She will try to confuse you. Stay grounded. Elias nodded, took a breath, closed his eyes. The world around him dissolved into stars. Inside the link, Elias floated in a black space, full of glowing memories. It was not real, but it felt real. This was Kailani's mind, or maybe his, or both. She appeared before him, taller now, her energy blazing. You think you can charm your way into our empire with soft words? She said. You think because my sister accepted you, I will? Leah shrugged. I don't think anything. I'm here to understand. You don't belong here. He stepped closer. But I'm not running away. Kailani raised her hand. Images of war filled the space Ikari battles, alien conquests, burning cities. We are not weak, she said. Do not beg for peace. I never said you were weak, Elias said. But strength isn't just about weapons. About choosing something better. He raised his own hand. A vision of Earth appeared, green forests, smiling children. A soldier dropping his rifle and hugging his daughter. Kailani looked at it and hesitated. For a moment, the space grew quiet. Then, Kailani's voice softened. You really believe in peace? I believe in trying, Elias said. Even if we fail. She stepped closer. Even if you have to marry 2 alien sisters. Elias grinned. Honestly, I've been through worse. Outside the psychic. Field nobles whispered among themselves. The priest's crystal rod glowed, indicating balance. Neither had yielded yet. Princess Varelli leaned closer to her mother. He's holding his own, she whispered. The Empress said nothing. Her eyes stayed locked on the center of the arena. Back inside the link, the stars began to fade. The space grew warmer. Kailani now looked less like a warrior, more like a woman torn between duty and anger. I challenged you because I didn't trust you, she said. I thought you were just another soft-skinned off-worlder, trying to steal power. And now? Elias asked. She gave a small smile. Now, I see something else. She stepped forward and touched his forehead. The energy between them pulsed. The stars spun, then exploded into light. The field around the arena vanished. Elias and Kailani both fell to one knee. Gasps filled the air. The priest's rod turned gold, the sign of mutual respect. The Empress stood. Her voice echoed. Trial ends. The challenger accepts the bond. Kailani looked up, eyes full of something strange, maybe admiration. I accept him, she said, and the entire arena erupted in shocked applause. Later in the royal garden, Elias sat on a bench, made of smooth crystal. Flowers that glowed in the dark swayed gently in the breeze. Kailani sat beside him, holding a glass of chilled nectar. For once she looked relaxed. You're not what I expected, Captain, she said. I get that a lot, she smiled. Didn't try to fight me? You listened? You showed me your heart. Elias chuckled. Well, humans are weird like that. Kailani took a sip and leaned back. You passed the trial. That means we are bonded. Do you understand what that means? I have to marry 2 alien princesses in one day. She smirked. It means you are now part of the line of flamed royal bloodline. Our enemies will fear you. Our allies will expect leadership. Elias paused. That's a lot for one guy from New Chicago. Hope you're ready. He didn't answer. Because at that moment, a blast shook the palace. An explosion rang through the sky. Alarms blared. The ground trembled. Elias and Kailani stood instantly. Guards ran through the garden. A red drone flew down and projected a map in front of them. Princess. Varelli's quarters had been attacked. Elias didn't think. He ran. Smoke filled the hallway. Pieces of shattered walls lay on the floor. Elias pushed past guards and ducked under fallen beams. He found Varelli on the ground, coughing her guards. Wounded around her? He rushed to her. Are you hurt? I'm fine, she said, standing up with his help. It wasn't an accident. Someone planted the blast. Kailani joined them, fury on her face. Who would dare attack the royal family during Ascension Week? Elias looked at the broken doorway. Someone who doesn't want a human joining the throne. Back in the Empress's chamber, Elias stood before the court. A small silver sphere floated in front of him. Beside it, a piece of the bomb. Ridge spoke through the speakers. This device uses Rylanok crystal fuseligal in most empires. Only a few black market circles trade them. Who would want to stop the marriage alliance? Elias asked. A voice answered from the shadows. The Council of Purity. Everyone turned. It was Admiral Yeth, a high-ranking Zykari noble and known traditionalist. They have opposed Terran contact from the start, Yeth said. They believe your kind will weaken our bloodlines and traditions, Kailani growled. They almost killed my sister, Varelli stepped forward. This cannot go unpunished. Elias looked at the Empress. Give me a day. Let me find proof. Let me show your people that humans don't just fight. We protect those we love. The Empress stared at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. You have 1 cycle, she said. Prove your place in our house. That night, Elias sat in his quarters again, staring at the stars. The room was quiet, except for Ridge humming softly. You sure about this? Ridge asked. No, Elias said. But I've come too far to back down. He glanced at the portraits. Now on his desk to alien princesses, one proud and fiery, one wise and graceful. This wasn't just about marriage anymore. This was about showing the galaxy what it meant to be human, and he wasn't going to fail. The golden sun of Gurley Prime rose slowly over the horizon, casting long shadows across the royal city. The spires of the palace glittered in the morning light, but something dark now hid beneath the beauty. Captain Elias Rourke walked quickly through the palace halls, his steps silent, his thoughts heavy. He had 20 hours left, 20 hours to uncover the truth about the attack, 20 hours to prove he belonged with Princess Varelli and Princess Kailani, 20 hours to show the Zykari Empire that human honor was real. His AI drone, Ridge, floated beside him, scanning for data. Still nothing from the blast site? Elias asked. Only fragments, Ridge replied. But I'm picking up small power signatures inside the lower archives. Elias frowned. The archives? That's restricted to nobles and council members? Ridge beeped. Exactly. Without waiting for permission, Elias turned and headed toward the lower levels. The forbidden archive, the entrance to the royal archives, was guarded by two massive warriors in gold armor. They crossed their energy pikes as Elias approached. No entry without bloodmark. One of them said. Elias held up a small silver badge given by the Empress after the trial of wills. I am bonded to the royal line, Elias said. If you stop me, you risk denying the Empress's own order. The guards hesitated. Then they stepped aside. The doors slid open with a deep hiss. Inside, the archive was cold and dark. Walls made of black crystal rose high, and glowing tablets floated in the air like fireflies. Here the secrets of the Zykari Empire were stored, laws, betrayals, the history no one dared speak aloud. Elias moved carefully. Ridge, he whispered, scanned for recent activity. The AI blinked its lights. 3 life signs.
I won!
Ahead, to hiding to the right. Elias stepped forward, hand ready. Suddenly a shadow moved. A cloaked figure sprinted across the aisle. Stop! Elias shouted, chasing them down. He turned the corner only to find a knife flying straight at his chest. He ducked. The blade sliced through his sleeve. Then Kailani appeared, leaping from above, her blade humming with electric fire. In one swift move, she kicked the attacker to the ground. I figured you'd come here, she said, breathing hard. Couldn't let you go alone. Elias looked down at the attacker, a young noble, dressed in dark purple robes. His eyes were wild. Who sent you? Kailani demanded, grabbing him by the collar. The noble spat on the floor. The Council of Purity will not let filth wear the crown. Elias narrowed his eyes. You were part of the bombing? The noble laughed. You think it's about bombs? You think this is just about 2 princesses? Kailani raised her fists, but Elias touched her arm. Let him speak, he said. The noble grinned. This is about blood, about power. The Empress is old. The Council has waited years to remove her. And now you, the human, you gave them the perfect excuse. Kailani's eyes blazed. Oh, they planned to overthrow her. They'd already started. The noble whispered. Check the records. Your own council voted last night. In secret. Ridge immediately projected data on the wall, meeting logs, encrypted messages, hidden votes. And there it was. A motion to declare the Empress unfit. To remove her from the throne, set to activate at midnight. Elias felt cold. They're planning. A coup, Kailani growled. Then we strike first, gathering the allies' liars later in a quiet chamber. Elias met with Princess Varelli, Kailani, and 2 loyal generals. This is more than tradition now, Varelli said, her voice sharp. They're trying to take the empire itself. General Tessa, an old warrior with 1 cybernetic arm, nodded. The council's ships are already gathering near the shadow side of the moon. We need to warn the Empress, Kailani said. No, Elias said. We need evidence first. Something the people can't ignore. Ridge hovered between them. One of the messages mentions a secret meeting on a ship called the Worm, docked at Port Eco 7. Then we go there, Elias said. Kailani raised an eyebrow. You're taking me on a date to spy on traitors? He grinned. Just trying to impress my fiancée. Varelli rolled her eyes. Try not to get killed, husband-to-be. The spy mission, the Worm, was an old diplomatic cruiser, shaped like a serpent coiled in sleep. Its outer shell was dull gray, with rust marks around the engines. It was docked quietly at Port Eco 7, forgotten part of the Imperial Station. Elias and Kailani wore cloaks and slipped aboard through a maintenance. Hatch Ridge projected a silent map. Meeting room is 2 decks up. 5 guards, 1 speaker. They moved like shadows through the halls. Inside the chamber, a group of nobles sat around a glowing table. At the head, Admiral Weiss. His voice was low and sharp. The human is weak. He charms the princesses, but has no army. Is declared mad. We declare rule under the council. And the girls? One noble asked. Arrested? Removed? Quietly. Elias had heard enough. He tapped Ridge. Broadcast this to the palace. All channels right now. Ridge glowed. Done. Admiral Yeth stopped mid-sentence as his own face and voice were broadcast across every screen in the Empire. He stood. Up in shock, who? Elias pulled off his hood and stepped forward. Just a human with a microphone. He said Kalani stepped beside him, sword drawn. And a very angry princess. Judgment of the throne back at the palace. The Empress stood tall as the entire court watched the recording on the great screen. Admiral Yeth and his co-conspirators were dragged forward in chains. You plotted. Against your crown, Kailara said, her voice cold. You threatened my daughters. You dishonored the sacred bonds, Admiral Yeth spat. You let an outsider defile the bloodline. He is the threat. Elias stepped forward. I didn't come to steal your throne. I came to stand beside it. With both your daughters, with honor. The Empress raised her hand, and with a single word, she stripped the traitors of rank and power. The court bowed. A new beginning that night. The twin moons of Jeerly Prime glowed brighter than ever in the palace garden. Beneath glowing lanterns, 2 sisters stood side by side, one in a robe of blue, the other in gold. Each held one of Elias's hands. Priests chanted. As flowers bloomed. A new bond was sealed. Not just a marriage, a message to the galaxy that the human spirit could rise to any challenge. That honor was not born, it was earned as the ceremony ended. Virelli leaned close. You're not just our husband now, she whispered. You're part of our story. Kailani smirked. And you better keep up, because this story's just getting started. Elias laughed, holding them both close. I wouldn't have it any other way. The Great Hall of Jeerli Prime was alive with color and sound. Flags from over 50 alien worlds hung from the tall marble pillars. Royal guards stood like statues, and strange alien creatures in golden robes whispered to each other in 100 languages. This was the summit of Storm's once-in-a-decade meeting where powerful empires gathered to speak, argue, and sometimes fight with words instead of weapons. But this year, all eyes were on one man, a human captain, Elias Rourke. Now, officially bonded to Princess Virelli and Princess Kailani, stood at the center of the hall in ceremonial armor. His black and silver suit had glowing lines down the arms. His chest plate held the crest of the Zykari royal family. He looked strong, calm, and dangerous, but inside his stomach was turning. I feel like I'm about to be eaten alive, Elias whispered. Kailani smirked as she adjusted his collar. Good, that means you're ready. Virelli smiled gently. Speak with truth. Show them your soul. That is something they cannot copy. The Empress stepped forward, wearing a crown of blue flame. Let the summit begin, she declared. The crowd roared. The first speaker was a tall, lizard-like alien called Lord Skarn of the Rax Empire. His voice was deep and sharp. We will not honor this human's bond unless he proves himself, Skarn said. Humans are weak, full of talk, short-lived. Why should we trust this mating ritual? Elias walked to the center, his step steady. He bowed once, then looked around the room. You're right, he said. Humans don't live as long as Zykari or Raxians. We don't have powerful minds like the Altari or energy skin like the Krell, but we do have one thing. He held up his hand, fingers spread. 5 scars showed on his pommeled battle wounds. We fight for family. fight for those we love, even when we're scared. Even when the galaxy tells us we'll lose. He turned to Kailani and Vareli. These women, my wives, chose me not because I was perfect, but because I tried. The room went silent. Even Lord Skarn lowered his eyes. He nodded once. Perhaps there is strength in small lives. The ambassadors came after the speech. Elias was invited to a private meeting with Ambassador Treya, a beautiful and dangerous woman from the Silent Dominion. Her skin shimmered like glass, and her eyes could change color. She poured blue wine into 2 glasses and smiled. You speak well for a soft species, she said. Elias took the wine but didn't drink, and you flirt well for someone trying to steal secrets. She laughed. Very good. But I'm not here to steal. I'm here to offer something. She leaned close. Leave the Zykari. Come to Cylon. We will give you ships, power, even a throne of your own. Elias stared at her. And leave Kailani. And Vareli? Treya raised an eyebrow.
Ah.
You could have more than 2. Elias stood up slowly and set the glass down. I didn't marry into power. I married into family. Then he walked out, leaving the ambassador frowning behind him. From the shadows, Kailani watched with a small smile. He passed that test too, she whispered. Trouble bruised later that night. Elias stood on the balcony of the royal tower. Stars filled the sky, and soft music played from below. But something didn't feel right, Ridge. His AI drone hovered nearby. I've picked up strange signals, Elias. There's a ship cloaked above the summit grounds. Hostile. Unknown. But not Zykari. And not registered. Elias turned just as Kailani joined him. We need to check this out, he said. She nodded. Let's suit up.
Battle minutes later.
Elias and Kailani were flying above the palace in stealth. Suits. Ridge guided them toward the unknown ship. It hovered just above the clouds, black as space. With no lights, they landed silently on its surface and opened a hatch using Ridge's override. Inside, they found a team of masked soldiers working around. A large machine, a psychic disruptor, Kailani whispered. If they activate that, it will block all mental defenses in the summit. Assassins could strike. One of the soldiers turned. Too late, he hissed. The humans must die. Elias didn't wait. He pulled out his plasma blade and charged. The fight was fast and wild. Lasers flew. Blades clashed. One soldier nearly stabbed Elias in the back, but Kailani spun and shot him mid-dash air dot together. They disabled the machine and locked down the ship. After it was over, Elias sat down, breathing hard. That's 2 near-death experiences in 1 week, he said. Kailani grinned. I think we're bonding. A royal decree, back in the summit hall. The Empress stood before the gathered leaders. She raised her staff. Tonight we faced treachery. Again, it was the human who stood with us, who protected us. She turned to Elias. Do you still wish to carry the bond? Elias stepped forward and nodded. Double quotes always. The Empress raised her voice. And let all worlds hear. This human is no longer outsider. He is Zykari. He is consort prince of the line of flame. The crowd cheered. Kailani and Vareli stepped forward and kissed him. One on each cheek. That night alone in the royal garden, Elias finally had a moment to breathe. He looked at the stars again. So much has changed, he said. Vareli sat beside him, resting her head on his shoulder. You did well today. You showed them who you really are. Kalani sat on his other side, playfully tossing a fruit in the air. But the galaxy is watching now. The enemies will come harder. Elias smiled softly. Let them come. He held both their hands. I have something worth fighting for now. And I'm not afraid. The wind was sharp on the mountaintop. Storm clouds rolled across the skies of Jirali Prime, turning the sunlight into shadows. Far below, the silver towers of the capital city glowed like candles in the dark. But the darkness was spreading. From the edge of the atmosphere, warships were gathering. Massive carriers, shaped like sharks and serpents. Cannons powered with dark matter. Engines that roared like thunder. The alliance of pure blood. A group of old enemies and jealous rivals declared war on the Zykari Empire. and they had one goal: kill the Empress, destroy the princesses, and remove Elias Rourke, the human consort prince. They believe we are weak because of love, said Empress Kalara, standing in her throne room. They believe wrong, said Elias, stepping forward. He wore battle armor, now black and gold, with a royal crest on his chest, and 2 energy blades on his back. Vareli and Kailani stood beside him, both dressed in warrior robes, their eyes full of fire. The Empress looked at her daughters. The time has come to fight not just for the crown, but for what we believe in. And we believe in each other, Vareli said firmly. Kailani cracked her knuckles. Let's show them what happens when they mess with family. The battle plan inside the war chamber, Elias met with the palace generals, ship captains, and advisors. A 3D hologram of the planet floated above the table, showing blinking red dots around the borders. 3 fleets are coming in, General Tessa explained. They'll arrive in 2 hours. We don't have enough ships to fight them all. At once, said a nervous captain. Elias leaned forward. Then we break them apart. We use the moons to hide our smaller ships and lure their main fleet in. Kailani grinned. Trap them in the gravity field. We'll disable their command ship from inside, Elias added. A small team, fast and quiet. Vareli looked at him. You're going yourself? Elias nodded. Yes, because I know they'll never expect the human to lead the charge. Goodbye. Just in case, before leaving, Elias took a quiet walk with both princesses in the royal garden. You don't have to do this, Vareli said, holding his hand. I do, Elias replied. Because you're both my family now. No one hurts my family. Kailani looked up at the stars. If something happens, ... Elias touched her cheek. Nothing will. But if it does, I loved you both from the moment I first stepped into your chaos. Vareli laughed softly, her eyes wet. You really are one of us. Then all 3 embraced, warm and tight. Under the golden trees, Infiltration Elias's small strike team flew toward the command ship of the enemy, fleet and enormous vessel, shaped like a spider. It had 12 engines and hundreds of defense drones. But Ridge, his AI, had found a blind spot. Using a stealth pod, they slipped through the shields and entered a maintenance hatch. Inside, Elias led the way through dark tunnels, avoiding cameras and motion sensors. Ridge whispered in his ear, "Target room ahead. Enemy admiral present." They opened the door and there he was. Admiral Korvac, leader of the Alliance. His skin was pale blue, his eyes black as ink. He wore a red cape and heavy armor. He turned and smiled. The famous human prince. He said, "Come to die?" Elias raised his blade. "No, I came to end this." Final battle back in the sky above Garrely Prime. The battle had begun. Zakari warships clashed with enemy cruisers. Lasers and missiles lit up the sky. Starfighters zipped between explosions. Kailani led the air defense, piloting her ship like a hawk. Vareli used her deep psychic skills to block enemy targeting and protect friendly ships with mine barriers. But they were outnumbered. "We need Elias to shut down the command ship," Kailani shouted, "or we lose everything." Duel with the admiral inside the enemy ship. Elias faced Admiral Korvac in a fierce sword fight. Sparks flew with every strike. The floor shook. Alarms screamed around them. Korvac was strong twice Elias's size, but Elias was faster. "I saw your speeches," Korvac hissed. "You speak of love and peace, but war is the truth of the stars." Elias blocked a heavy blow and countered with a spin. "Maybe, but love is why we fight. That's what gives us the strength to win." With one final strike, Elias drove his blade into the control panel. Overloading the ship's systems, Korvac screamed as the ship's power died. Outside, enemy ships lost their command, signal and began to retreat. The Zykari forces pushed forward, chasing them out of the system. The battle was won. Aftermath. Elias stood in the palace courtyard as people cheered around him. The Empress declared a day of peace and unity. Fireworks lit the sky. Even alien leaders who once doubted him now clapped his back and saluted him with respect. He looked for Vareli and Kailani in the crowd. They came running. Kailani jumped into his arms first. "You crazy fool. You really pulled it off. Then, Varelli kissed him. We watched you. Every moment you were incredible. Elias smiled. I told you I was more than a pretty face. They laughed together, holding hands as the sky exploded with color. A new legend begins later that night. The Empress stepped onto the royal balcony and spoke to the galaxy through the palace broadcast. The war is over. And we are stronger than ever. Because strength is not found in bloodline or weaponry alone. It is found in the bonds we choose. She looked at Elias. This human, once doubted and mocked, stood by our side when others ran. He risked everything not for power, but for love. And so, as Empress of the Zayakari, I now declare him not just a prince by marriage, by honor. The crowd erupted. A new legend had begun. The quiet moment in their private chamber that night. Elias sat between Varelli and Kailani on the royal couch. They were dressed in soft robes. Candles flickered. Outside, the stars moved slowly. Do you think we'll ever have peace? Varelli asked softly. Peace isn't something you find, Elias replied. It's something you protect. Every day. Together. Kailani snuggled. Into him? I never wanted to marry anyone, but I'm glad you never gave me a choice. He chuckled. That makes two of us. They laughed and leaned into each other for the first time in a long while. There was silence. A warm, safe, perfect silence. And the stars watched over them like a promise.